Hi, my name is Mark.
Before we start, I just want to say, if I look or sound a little bit weird, don't worry, I'll get back to normal eventually. I've been struggling a little bit with my allergies recently, but hey, videos ain't gonna record themselves, ain't they?
So, it's been a while since I've done one of these videos. For those who aren't aware, this is my YAIT series, You Ask, I Teach. And it's a pretty self-explanatory title. As you can probably guess, and as the name implies, in this series I pretty much teach anything you guys have in the comment section below. Well, guitar and or music related, of course. And I used to do these videos once a month, but I sort of skipped the month because I didn't really have a comment for a next video. In the last episode, the 6th episode, I talked about what makes the Hungarian minor scale my favorite scale and how I use it. You can check that episode and all the other previous episodes in the playlist right there. A fan of the channel, AT, suggested I do a video on that, so I did, and in that video he actually left a comment which I ended up forgetting about, asking me to keep talking about the Hungarian minor scale and share some more tips and tricks. I'm sorry I ended up forgetting about it, but I'm here now to do that video, so I guess this would make it the episode 6.5, 6.5. And for all of you guys watching who may have something you want me to talk about, or would like to keep this series going, because I can only keep doing these sorts of videos if you guys leave comments, all you need to do is leave a comment in the comment section below with whatever you want me to talk about, and the hashtag YAIT. Pretty simple and doesn't really take much time. But getting back to this video, in the last video, again, you don't really need to watch it to keep up with this one, but it will probably help, and I think I can share some interesting ideas in that video. Even if you're a fan and already use the C Hungarian minor scale, there's probably something you can learn from it. And as I mentioned in the other video, we're talking about what makes the Hungarian minor scale my favorite scale, aka what I like about it. You may have a different opinion, and that's fine. And in the last video, I think I focused more on how I can use basically every single chord using the Hungarian minor scale. And that's pretty useful for an improvising, soloing, and songwriting situation. But another thing you can use that scale for is to take chord progressions from other scales and other tonalities and bring them into the Hungarian minor tonality and play them with only notes of the Hungarian minor scale and get some interesting chord progressions. It may sound a little bit weird, so let me just show you. But before I do, I just want to say, please subscribe to my channel. You're probably aware that YouTube acts a little bit weird. You're probably aware that even if you subscribe to a channel, those channel's videos may really not show up in your subscription box. And even if you're ringing the notification bell thingy below, you still really may not be notified of that channel's content. So if you want to stay tuned to my content, not only do I suggest subscribing and turning on all the notifications, but also follow me on social media. Not only do I post some exclusive stuff there, I can provide solos and jamming cover backing tracks, and generally wherever I'm up to at the moment, but I always post there about my videos. Links for the usual suspects will be below, but in general at Mark Guitar. And since you're down there, please consider leaving a like and share this video on social media, I'd highly appreciate it. Okay, so if you haven't watched the other video or you need to freshen up your memory, if we go for the key of C for instance, this is your C major scale. This is your C minor scale. And here's your C Hungarian minor scale. And let's take a commonly known minor chord progression like C minor, A flat major, E flat major, and B flat major. Pretty standard chord progression, you've probably heard this a lot. And this is a chord progression from your regular minor scale. And I've talked about this in previous videos, which you can check out in the chord section right there. But if you aren't aware, the way we usually make up chords is by stacking thirds. So if we take our regular C minor scale, to make up the first chord, the chord of C, we would take the C and its third, so 1, 2, 3. Its third is E flat, and then we would take the third of E flat, which would be 1, 2, 3, would be that G, and we take C, E flat, and G, and we would have a C minor chord. Or in this position, we do the same thing for the other chords. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Even though this chord progression progression sounds fine, we can turn this minor chord progression to a Hungarian minor chord progression. And before we do it, you might ask, but why are we going to? Well, one, it can be used as a creative tool. You can maybe find some spicier chord progressions that spark out a song or something like it. Two, is a good way to sort of practice your music theory and your chord chops, but also because, again, this is a video about what makes it my favorite scale and whatever, why I like the scale. Doing these sorts of music chord theory games. Again, I made a video sort of about this, of how your practicing doesn't really need to be boring. You can check that video right there. I find these sorts of things fun and interesting. You may not find them interesting, but hey, no judging here. So let's check out how we can turn that minor chord progression into a Hungarian minor chord progression. Again, the first chord is a C minor. If you want to make it a Hungarian minor scale, you need to find out the root, third, and fifth of the third note of the scale. In this case, it's still a C minor chord, because 1, 2, 3, the third is still an E flat, and then 1, 2, 3, the third of E flat is still a G. So the first chord is still a C minor chord. The next chord in our chord progression, in natural minor, would be an A flat major chord. The A flat is the sixth of C in our regular natural minor scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The A flat is the sixth of C, and in the case of Hungarian minor scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it is still an A sharp. And the third of that A flat, 1, 2, 3, is still C, and the fifth, 1, 2, 3, is still that E flat. So we still get an A flat major chord. But things change in our next chord. The next chord is an E flat major chord. The E flat is the third of C, 1, 2, 3, and it's still the third in our C Hungarian minor scale, 1, 2, 3. So our third chord is still an E flat, but when we check out the other notes, the third note, 1, 2, 3, is still a G, but our fifth note, which in regular C minor would be that B flat, in our Hungarian minor scale, 1, 2, 3, is a B, not a B flat. So instead of us having an E flat major chord, we're going to have an E flat augmented chord. So our chord progression that sounded sort of like this now sounds like and for some of you it will probably sound worse than our original chord progression. And I'm not saying it doesn't, I'm just saying it sounds different, and depending on the situation, this might be the sort of sound you're looking for. Not only that, but I forgot to mention it before, when we sort of transposed chord progressions to different scales, we get to know the sound of that scale a little bit better than we did before. If we take our last chord, which was that B flat major chord, B flat is the minor seventh of C in our regular C minor scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we take the seventh of our Hungarian minor scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Our seventh is not really B flat anymore, is B. So this time we're not going to play a B flat chord, we're going to play a B chord. But what sort of B chord? Well, now if we find the third of B in the C Hungarian minor scale, 1, 2, 3, the third is that D, and the fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's an F sharp. So by having the notes D, D, and F sharp, we have a B minor chord. And a B minor chord is pretty different than our B flat major chord. Even though they both share the note D, they're completely different chords. So again, our chord progression used to sound like this. And now it sounds sort of like this. Again, if it sounds better or worse is debatable, and depending on the situation, it might be more appropriate than anything else. Let's take, for instance, the infamous 2-5-1. Again, a minor 2-5-1 in C minor would have the chords D minor 7 flat 5, G7, and C minor 7. also take that chord progression of a minor 2-5-1 and transform it into, I would guess, a Hungarian minor 2-5-1. And I know this technically isn't a minor 2-5-1, this is technically a harmonic minor 2-5-1, but in this case it doesn't really matter because we want to take this sort of chord progression into the Hungarian minor scale, not really analyze the previous ones. Again, here is the D/C Hungarian minor scale. All we need to do is find the root, third, fifth, and in this case, because we want to make it sound a little bit fancier and in some contexts a little bit more jazzy, we'll find the seventh too. So again, the second note of the C Hungarian minor scale, C, 1, 2, C, D. The second note is a D, so D is the root of the second chord. The third of D, 1, 2, 3, is that F sharp, so we have the third of D is an F sharp. And the fifth of D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is that A flat. And the seventh of D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is that C. So we got the sort of D7 sharp 11th without the fifth. A more standard position would be something like this. So again, before we had a minor 7 flat 5 chord. Now we have a dominant 7th sharp 11th chord. And for the next chord, the same thing. The next chord would be a G7 chord, because a G is the 5 of C. And in the case of the Hungarian minor scale, the 5th of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is still that G. So all we need to do now is find the 3rd, 5th, and 7th of G in the Hungarian minor scale. So here's the G. 1, 2, 3. The 3rd is at B. And the 5th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is that D, and the 7th, 1, 2, 3, is that F sharp. So the chord you have for G is a G major 7 chord. We have the D7 sharp 11, we have the G major 7, and now for the C chord, we need to find its 3rd, 5th, and 7th. 1, 2, 3, the 3rd is that E flat, 4, 5, the 5 being the G, 6, 7, and the 7th being that B. So we got the C minor major 7 chord. So again, our previous 2-5-1 sounded something like this. And now our Hungarian minor 2-5-1 sounds sort of like this. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's the same thing I mentioned before. Whether it sounds better or worse, it's debatable and depends on the situation, but I'm not sure that I would, or any of you would play this chord progression in any other situation that didn't really involve analyzing one of these scales. And we did it for the C Hungarian minor scale, but we did it for the first mode of it. But we can do it for all the other chords. Again, it might sound a little bit useless, but it's something you can try. For instance, if we had just our regular C minor scale, the 3rd mode of that scale would just be an E flat major scale. And if we were to find the 2-5-1 of that mode / scale, we would have the chords F minor 7, B flat dominant 7th, and then our regular E flat major 7. But in the case of C Hungarian minor, our 3rd mode, instead of being a major scale, is this sort of major scale with a sharp 2 and a sharp 5. And the 2-5-1 of that scale isn't F minor 7, B flat 7, and E flat major 7 anymore. I skipped the process, but the 2-5-1 of this 3rd mode of C Hungarian minor scale now has the chords like an E diminished flat 10 maybe, and the 5 chord being this B minor double flat 7, And again, the one chord being this sort of augmented major 7 chord. So comparing one to the other, here's our regular major 2-5-1 for the key of E flat. And now for this weird key of ours. It was a little poorly played, but some of these chord positions are a little bit weird. But hey, I guess this is where the fun is, right? As I mentioned before, you probably wouldn't really think about playing something like this if we didn't think about, oh, okay, let's take this scale that we like and try to apply the chord progressions we like the most to these scales. Again, I only did a couple of them, but there are tons more you can do. And again, if you mix it up with the previous video about having all the chords in one scale with just some little sharps and flats, you can suddenly make sense of chord progressions like just by using our C Hungarian minor scale. So I encourage you to try this, not necessarily with the Hungarian minor scale, although it wouldn't hurt, but to also do this with scales that you are a fan of. For instance, if you are a fan of the Lydian dominant scale, do this with the Lydian dominant scale, or the harmonic minor scale, melodic minor scale, you name it. I think this was a deeper video when it comes to this sort of music theory stuff, but I don't know, you guys tell me what you think. Did you agree? Did you not agree? Was there something I missed? Something I should have said? Also, don't forget, if you have any suggestions for videos, this is the series to do it. All you need to do is leave a comment with whatever you want me to talk about and the hashtag YAIT. And if you actually end up trying any of this sort of stuff, whether it's with this scale or any other scale that you prefer, please film yourself playing it and post it on Instagram. Not only will I see it, but I'll repost it and tag you on it, because I'd really like to see and share what you guys can come up with. And yeah, I guess that's it. Again, thank you so very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications. If you can, follow me and share this video on social media, I'd highly appreciate it. And again, if you like this video, not only check out the playlist with all of the other YAIT episodes, but also check out some of my other videos. Not only do I do videos of tips and tricks like this and talking about music theory or guitar lessons, but I also do some other videos, for instance composing videos, where I either share tips and tricks about composing with you, but I also have this series where I'm composing a song and recording my process and sharing it with you guys. But I also do videos where I take a lick that I either think is interesting, or the lick itself is a little bit different from what whoever played the lick usually plays. Then I tab it and break it down so that you guys can learn it. I also have this series called Bass Tricks for Guitar, because for those who don't really know, I actually started out as a bass player and gigged for a couple of years before I eventually moved on to guitar. So when I came to guitar playing, I guess I brought some things to my guitar playing that those of you who didn't really start out on bass either don't think about consciously or don't think about it at all. And there's some pretty interesting stuff there, so check them out if you want to. But yeah, I guess that's it. Cheers!